afternoon. Thank you very much for being here. I'm delighted to share the news of Speaker John Boehner's visit to Connecticut this afternoon. The Speaker started his day at a fundraiser for an openly gay Republican in Massachusetts who has a real shot at winning a congressional seat for the Republican Party in Massachusetts. He then came to Hartford to support a socially moderate, fiscally conservative Republican from Connecticut. Because the Speaker recognizes that to be a national party, the Republican Party has to be a Big Ten and has to welcome people who have my kind of profile, people that have had the courage to be independent, people that are moderate on social issues, and people who care about the central issue in this election, which is fixing our economy. Among the visitors at our event this afternoon were representatives of Connecticut's largest employers, United Technologies Corporation, Vietnam, the Travelers, Hartford Insurance, and we met with the Speaker to talk about how we can begin to address a 9% unemployment rate here in the state of Connecticut. And I was delighted to have the Speaker's attention and interest in working with me and Connecticut's largest employers to create more middle-class job opportunities, which are so desperately needed in this state. So as this campaign unfolds, I'm delighted to be working with the people that are in a position to put Connecticut back to work. The people in this state who employ people, and the people in the United States Congress who are going to help direct decision-making in the next session. And as all of you know, I'm a bridge builder, and building bridges begins with building relationships. And I'm pleased to have begun to build relationships even before this election with Republican members of Congress, and I already have relationships with Democratic members of Congress. And my approach to governing has always been to bring people together, to find common ground, to work across the aisle. And quite frankly, the hyper-partisan noise coming from my opponent is disappointing because it represents a perpetuation of the problem rather than a move towards solutions. So with that, I just wanted to tell everyone how pleased I was that the Speaker cares as much as I do about putting the people of Connecticut back to work, about making fuel prices more affordable. Gas is now more than $4 a gallon. Home heating oil, also something that many people are fearful about as winter is knocking on our door. But most importantly, the Speaker knows where Connecticut is, and he wants to help us put our economy back on track.
What did he talk about inside? Did he specifically mention your race, Linda McMahon, or what was his message?
Well, his message was that Andrew Roraback is a candidate who fits Connecticut. He's a Republican, but he's a moderate Republican from a long tradition of New England Republicans who have often been at the very center of important policy decisions. The truth of the matter is, the problems that face us as a country are going to require individuals who have a demonstrated capacity to work across the aisle and find solutions. So, of course, I come at this with what I've learned here in Hartford. What I have learned in this building is how not to solve a problem. Because Governor Malloy and the Democrats in control of the legislature, they said you solve the problem by imposing the largest tax increase ever on this state. And guess what? Their approach has failed the people of Connecticut. We all saw the report that UConn released last week that said while other states' economies are beginning to feel the signs of recovery, Connecticut's economy is still shrinking. Why is it still shrinking? Because Governor Malloy and the one-party rule in the legislature, they gambled on giving us the largest tax increase ever. They thought they could tax our way to prosperity. And the truth of the matter is, because there's been no appetite in Connecticut to control spending, this state has 9% unemployment when the national rate is 7.8%. And my opponent embraces the plan to raise taxes dramatically on January 1st.
What is your feeling about John Boehner's positions on women's reproductive rights, Social Security, Medicare, those things? How do you distance yourself from that, or do you not?
Well, of course, my position on women's right to choose has been consistent throughout my career and will remain consistent. As I said, the Speaker began his day supporting an openly gay Republican candidate for Congress. The fact that I'm moderate on social issues is something that the Speaker, I have told him, he should expect that I am not going to stray from my principles when it comes to social issues. But on the fiscal issues facing us, we have to make some tough decisions. And I share the Speaker's view that raising taxes on January 1st would result in fewer job opportunities, not more job opportunities. So, let it be clear, and the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee has again today released a new ad which yet again misrepresents my view on Social Security and Medicare. And let me say it once. If I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. For individuals who are 50 years old and older, I have no interest in changing your benefit structure. You've earned those benefits. You deserve the peace of mind of knowing that the benefits you have with Medicare and Social Security will be there for you until your last day. What people 50 and under need to understand is that if we don't make changes to the program for them, there will be no programs there when they reach the age of retirement. But for my opponent to try to sow the seeds of fear in seniors for her political advantage is a tactic which voters should reject. And seniors should be first in line to reject that tactic, particularly from a woman whose answer when people were afraid of rising property taxes was that they moved to another town. I don't know how she's going to respond here to people that are fearful of taxes rising in this country. Perhaps she'll want them to move to another country.
Last week you held a press conference where you talked about the Democratic Congressional Campaign Commission ad trying to paint you as a Tea Partier. And one of the pictures they put up in that ad with Sarah Palin was John Boehner, and then said, and Andrew Roraback would fit right in. And you objected to that. And yet today, John Boehner is here supporting you. How do you explain that away to voters? That, wait a minute, you do want to be connected with him or you don't want to be connected with him? Is it all about the money he can raise? How do you explain that?
Well, the reality of my record, demonstrated over 18 years, is that I've always had the courage to be independent. The Republican Party wants to be a national party. If they're to become a national party, they need to be a big tent and make room for people like Richard Tisset in Massachusetts and Andrew Roraback in Connecticut, who are going to be a moderating influence on the party. For people that are fearful that the Republican Party has lurched too far to the right, the answer is Andrew Roraback, because I'm someone who has a long record of being socially moderate, fiscally conservative, and when it comes to fixing the economy, the answers that my party are throwing out are much better answers than the president's answers, which are to raise taxes, which will result in fewer jobs, and a health care plan which is costing too much and delivering too little.
There's also an argument that could be made that you may go in with the best of intentions to be moderate, but when push comes to shove and they need a vote, they'll come to you and say, Andrew, we came and we helped raise money for you. You want us to do it again? You're going to vote our way.
Well, and let me just remind everyone that was here 18 years ago of the first big vote I took as a member of the General Assembly. Governor Rowland said, Andrew Roraback, I need your vote for a casino in Bridgeport. And I said to the governor, with all due respect, Governor, you're not going to have my vote for a casino in Bridgeport. And the governor said, Andrew, I'm the governor. This is very important to me. And I said to the governor, I understand, but I'm not going to break faith with my beliefs or the people I represent. And I voted against the casino in Bridgeport. I think people also need to remember that in the Judiciary Committee, when there was a vote on same-sex marriage, only one Republican had the courage to be independent and to vote his conscience and to support that bill. So I'm not going to fall prey to any pressure in Washington, D.C. The only pressure that I'm going to respond to is pressure that's brought to bear by the people in the 5th District. They're the ones whose interests I'm serving. I will take my lumps from the party leadership in Washington when I think they're wrong, and I won't be afraid to tell them when I think they're wrong.
How much money was raised today?
I don't know how much money was raised today, but the fact of the matter is my opponent has put $500,000 of her own money into this race. So she's using a lot of her own money to run ads that really misrepresent who I am and the record that I've built over 18 years. I'm not in a position to put $500,000 into my campaign, so I need to raise money. And when the Speaker says, I want to come to Hartford and raise money for you, and when folks from the largest employers in Connecticut, United Technologies, Aetna, Hartford, when they say we want to work with you to create an environment where we can employ more people in Connecticut, where we can have good-paying manufacturing jobs for the middle class, where we can have reliable jobs in the insurance industry. That's what it's all about, because at the end of the day, my success will be measured by the success of the individuals and the businesses in this district, because when the businesses in this district succeed, that means the people that I represent will have job opportunities, and that's what it's all about.
Did the insurance companies co-sponsor this event?
No, they didn't co-sponsor the event. They were invited to attend, and they were very interested in sharing with the speaker what it is that they want to do here in Connecticut, to grow jobs, to hire more people, and what we need to do to be competitive. So it was well attended. We raised, I don't know.
Does it all go to your campaign?
It all is for the benefit of my campaign, so that we can run television ads that speak the truth against television ads that are, scaring seniors for the political benefit of my party.
We didn't get to see the speaker. You seem to have kept a low profile in this visit. Can you talk about why he's not standing here with you right now?
No, well, the speaker is a busy guy. He is very intent on building a national party and of welcoming moderates such as myself. So he's been in the past day in New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and I think he was off to Rhode Island and New York. He doesn't have time to spare. We were very grateful to have his help and to listen to the concerns we have and to work with me to get Connecticut's unemployment rate down, way down, below the very unacceptable 9% that it is today.
Did you see the protest outside? Did you see that? Go ahead.
I just follow up. Did you not want him in front of PD cameras?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't. The speaker is here. I'm glad that he cares about helping Connecticut go back to work, and I will welcome his assistance. Now, as I said, I'm a bridge builder, and I don't think the people of this district are going to benefit from the hyper-partisan name-calling that's brought us to where we are now. My approach is very different. As I said, I'm a bridge builder. The speaker is someone I'm going to have a relationship with, and Nancy Pelosi is someone I'm going to have a relationship with, because the only way I can bridge the divide is by communicating with people of every political stripe. It's what I've done here in the state legislature for 18 years. It served my district well when I have a firm foundation of trusting relationships with people across the political spectrum. That's what my service has always been about, and that's what it will continue to be about.
Approximately how many people were there today?
I would say there were approximately 80 people, if I had to guess. I mean, it was a full room. It was well attended, and people were very interested in breaking the monopoly. The reality in Connecticut is every single important office is occupied by a member of the Democratic Party, and we are now reaping the results of one-party rule. The 5th District represents an opportunity to break the stranglehold that one party has on power and to send someone to Washington, D.C. who is independent-minded and who is very interested in finding common ground and willing to advance the national interests ahead of partisan interests.
There's a simple test about whether or not you think being seen with John Boehner, endorsed by John Boehner, will help or hurt, and that is, are you going to use an endorsement from him in an ad or a mailing or anything along those lines?
Yeah, I don't know. As time goes on, we're going to be trying to get the truth about who I am out to voters in the 5th District. And we will do that in the way that we think is most effective. And quite frankly, I think the way that's most effective is for me to be doing what I'm doing, which is to be out on the campaign trail. Last night I was in Waterbury. Tonight I'm going to be in New Britain. Let people judge for themselves. Let them look me in the eye. Let them look at my record and judge for themselves whether they think I have the qualities and the passion to serve them and to put their interests ahead of partisan interests or special interests.
The tape that you're using right now of Elizabeth Esty when she's at that town hall meeting, are you certain that she's actually talking, addressing seniors, or do you think she's just talking to people in general? We don't listen to the whole thing.
Well, what I'm certain is she uttered those words in response to concerns that were expressed by people who she indicated may not have had children in the schools. So typically, the community of people who don't have children in the schools are a senior community.
Was it a town council meeting? Is that what?
My understanding is it was a public hearing on a budget proposal in the town of Cheshire. And the truth of the matter is, my approach to serving has never been about being disrespectful to anyone. I've had disagreements over the years with lots of people over lots of issues, but never have I been disrespectful. I've always thought it's appropriate to show people respect, not to show them the door. And when Elizabeth Esty suggested that people move out of town, I think it showed a side of herself that isn't as empathetic as I hope my member of Congress will be to the real-world problems that people are facing, making ends meet in an era of ever-rising taxes and shrinking paychecks.
You brought up Governor Malloy a second ago and the budget, et cetera, et cetera. What was your reaction on budgetary matters? He got an F, I believe, today from the Cato Institute.
Well, he did, and I think he's at the bottom of the heap, and it's no surprise. This is an administration that, I don't think we've completely understood, and I understand that Mr. Miotti has now given back his $50,000 raise, but talk about a tin ear when the community college in my district, Northwest Connecticut Community College, has absorbed over $1 million in reductions to their operating budget over the past 3 years. And students have felt the impact of those cuts. And what planet does this governor live on when his administration sees fit to allow a $50,000 raise to certainly a qualified individual?
What Regis, as you know, is independent. The governor's always saying...
they haven't been very forthcoming in answering questions that have been put to them. It would be hard for me to imagine that the governor's office wasn't privy to what they had in mind, but you'll find that out. All I can say is that it's an administration that is out of tune with reality that Connecticut citizens are facing. And when our economy is shrinking, it's shrinking for a reason. It's shrinking because the policies that have been promoted have been the enemy of creating economic opportunity and expansion. So that's why it was nice for the Speaker to have a chance to listen to folks who employ people and who wish to employ more people. And my success, as I said, if I go to Congress, when I go to Congress, my success will be measured by more people having good jobs in the 5th District, middle-class jobs that give people peace of mind, and that's what my focus is going to be in the next 4 weeks, is earning the support of people from throughout this district. So thank you for being here.
We had a story the other day that said Elizabeth Esty has gotten income from a family loan plan that laid people off in the last few years. I imagine I'm sorry if you had any reaction to it.
Well, I guess the only reaction is I work in a family business, and it's a place I go every day, and we were fortunate to continue to hire people through the depths of our economic downturn. It surprised me that my opponent could be deriving so much income from a place she'd never visited, or she hasn't been at in 20 years, through a complicated arrangement of limited partnerships, and given the fact that so many people lost work, it is, I guess it's not something that I've had experience in. I've never had the opportunity to derive a great deal of income from a company that is in a position where they have to let a lot of workers go.
Do you think she hasn't mentioned that?
Well, I don't know. It's a complicated arrangement of companies and partnerships and the name on the door, different states. I haven't completely come to understand the intricacies of it. I can tell you that my family business, the name is on the door. It says Roraback and Roraback. It's in Torrington, Connecticut. There's no mailing addresses in different places. There's no P.O. boxes. It's there for all the world to see.
And
anything else? Thank you.
Thank you. There was a small group of protesters outside the fundraiser, and they seemed predominantly interested in protesting the Speaker and Linda McMahon. But they also suggested that if elected, you would vote in the interests of millionaires. I don't know if you care to respond to that at all.
I'm going to vote in the interests of working men and women of the 5th District. They are the people whose interests I want to represent. And I want to represent their interests by making sure there are more opportunities for gainful employment, for good jobs. That's all I'm interested in doing, and that's my focus. So thank you.
If you're elected, are you going to work with Congressman Murphy and Congressman Larson as well as maybe Congressman Don Manzul on the Buy American initiative?
I am going to have an open door to every idea, because the only way I can be effective as a member of Congress is to do what I've done here in the General Assembly, and that's to always have an open door, to listen to all ideas, and then, having listened to the ideas, decide whether or not I want to put my energy behind getting them passed. So thank you all very much for being here. We'll look forward to the next 4 weeks. 4 weeks from today, mark your calendars. It's a big day.
My birthday, by the way.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It is a...
Thank you.